Okay, so I have here the Activator IV, and yeah, it wasn't activating, so it was stuck basically, and yeah, the chiros weren't able. So I run a chiro and physio practice here in Malaysia, and the team said that the activator wasn't working. I reached out to the team in the US, and it cost quite a bit. They say it's the spring. Checked online, most often times it's not the spring that is the one that's causing the problem, but I've already removed some of the parts based on the video by Sermon Chiropractic on YouTube. I'll link his video below, but yeah, you get the gist of it, and in terms of knowing what exactly is going on with this device. Now the problem that I had was, so if you look at Sermon Chiro's video, he suggests that you hold it here and you twist it this way to remove it. You actually needed to remove this part, because this part, if you look at it, if I hold this down, if you can see it, it has a free play, right? So you needed to be, so I realized that I think in his video he actually sort of was quite easy to remove his, but ours was a little hard. I mean, granted, our Activator IV here is actually about nearly 6 years old plus, so there could be some issues there. So anyway, following his video, you actually need one of these. It's a test pen. If you look at it, there's this washer. I've already removed it, and not sure if you can see it, but basically this washer here works like a key ring, like what you have. So you can actually slowly kind of remove it, by putting I'll show it later on when I put things back, but if you can see, once you put it there and then you just kind of like run it around, it kind of moves out. So it's normally locked in here, then you move it down here, and you still, that stops this piece from moving. And then what happens is I just remove it all the way down here so that I can have a better access. If you can see the activator here, it's not a pretty sight, but it already has some scratches here. The reason why, like I said earlier, it was quite hard to remove it. So what I actually had to do, with some help and some input from my dad, as the other person was around, was to use one of these tools. I'm not sure what it's called. What kind of I'll list the kind of tools that you would need to do this repair in the link in the description below. But basically, what I needed to do, and I actually had to have a couple of these around. So I use a rag cloth. It's a bit grubby here, but basically the way this works is that you kind of put it here, but I'm not going to do that I'm going to just show it here. I'm not sure whether you can see it, but basically you clip it, you crimp it, and what this does is that it gives a bit of bite, because as you can see, everything here is it's actually polished stainless steel, so you can, it's good quality stuff anyway. But just using by a sheer hand, you're not gonna get much movement. So ours was really stuck. So what I had to do was actually to put a rag cloth in there, clip it, crimp it, and Dad actually helped with another one. But instead of using one of these, Dad actually used one of these and kind of like gripped it over here like this, right? So we know which way, after watching Simon Chiro's video, we knew which way it was to unscrew it. So we just had to crimp that, hold it down really tight, and slowly kind of, you know, work our way to remove this activator top cap here. Took us a while, well, maybe about 10 turns around before we finally saw it at this point. And yeah, I mean, seeing that kind of gave me hope as to what was to come. So that was how we actually removed the initial piece. So now I'm going to tell you actually what happened with ours. So a lot of times when we reached out to activatormethods.com, support would say it's the spring. So let me just remove this here right now. Okay, so you just got to be careful because there are a lot of loose parts that kind of like. So what I realized is that when I first removed it, there was a caking of grime around the threaded part here. So you just want to make sure. It's actually quite easy to see what's happening. Now, one thing to note is that I'm not sure, maybe it's been updated in terms of the activator, but this Activator IV that we have, that was purchased back in 2015, as you can see, this spring over here is actually stuck to the top cap. So I know in the other videos this spring can actually be removed, but this can't, so that's fine. What I realized is that this particular spring is not the best quality. As you can see, there's some caking of some grime. I haven't finished cleaning everything up, so I took it apart yesterday evening, and I managed to sort of give it a bit of a clean down with some. I'll show you what I used. Oh, the other thing was, when this was literally stuck in there, what I actually used was I actually sprayed some WD-40 into the area which is just like, you know, in between here and a little bit in there. Sprayed quite a bit to help loosen. Don't ask me how, but I do road cycling as well, and I realized that one of the fix to remove, you know, stuck components, especially when it comes to the seat post on a carbon frame, is to actually use WD-40, and I've seen it being done, so I thought I'd give it a try, and yeah, that worked. So remove that, remove this piece. Now it wouldn't come off just yet. The reason is you've got this screw here. This screw actually kind of screws all the way in. This part here is, I guess that's the mechanism in there that kind of gives that clicking sound. Yeah, just don't lose the parts. Like, these look relatively clean right now because I've cleaned it already. So I've got one of these like medicine cups, dosage cups, but just put that in there so that I don't lose it. And you just want to remove this. So the way you remove that is you pull this piece up, you pull this there. Everything is a bit of a tight fit, so just to be careful. Can you see it? But literally everything yesterday was just caked up in grime. Literally. kicked up in grime. So now you can remove that. I think you need to remove this first. So once that's been removed, you can actually remove this part here. So put that there. Okay, if it doesn't come out, just give it a bit of a knock. That thing comes out. Now you want to make sure that you are very careful with this part. So this is where it gets a bit tricky, because you've got two ball bearings on either side here, and that is what helps lock this. I guess this is the activator bullet into place. So like I mentioned, everything in here was just grimy. But anyway, once that is there, oh, okay, so that needs to kind of be cleared up. So I'm using one of these test pens which has a magnetic tip. So as you can see, it's really a bit grimy. Yeah, this comes right off. You don't have to do much over here. So you can remove that, put that aside. This is okay. Put that aside. So Dad said the best way to clean it would be using some petrol, because it cleans really well and it evaporates quite fast. I don't have that, so I also use this to clean some parts of my bike components. It's actually, I don't know if you can see it, but this is actually paint thinner. I live in Malaysia, so yeah. So what I usually do, now this is where it gets a bit tricky. You can use a pair of gloves if you want. I'm quite okay with it. Okay, so just pour that out a little bit like this. Just a little dab like that. And what I've actually done was actually just kind of use that, and that's what I've been using yesterday to give this whole thing a clean. So as you can see, it's a bit grimy. So you can see it's really grimy. It was really grimy yesterday when and it had bits and pieces of filings. I believe it's just how the mechanism has kind of eroded over time. I mean, when we bought this, you know, there wasn't really a clear indication that you actually needed to service it every so often. Maybe there is. We didn't get the memo on it, but yeah. So I just give it a quick clean up everywhere. It doesn't matter what kind of rag you use, just as long as I'm just using an old dirty rag that we have lying around. Now this spring, I was told, and I saw another video online, that you could actually purchase that spring as a spare of Ace Hardware. You could. I haven't seen it at my local Ace Hardware here in Malaysia. I have yet to check. But yeah, just give everything. So what I've done is just really give everything a good kind of wipe down and clean, and I've done this yesterday, so that's why it looks much cleaner than it is. But it was really grimy. Okay, I can't seem to get that. I'll just use this. Just be careful. It does dry out on your hands quite a bit. Thinner, paint thinner. You might want to use a pair of gloves. I don't have one, and maybe you should, as for, you know, occupational health and safety, that sort of thing. But this screw is really important because I kind of cleaned everything up yesterday, and I didn't really clean this quite well, the screw quite well. And what happened was, when I tried to screw everything back, it just wasn't aligning, and then I realized that it's probably just this getting cleaned up. Yeah, so that's taking everything apart, cleaning everything up. If you aren't a big, like if you don't really bother about, you know, scratches like this on your activator, it doesn't affect performance. It shouldn't. Yeah. Then if you have a stuck thing, I mean, that's really saving you. You know, what I'm telling you here is really just for us, it's just saving having to purchase another new activator. To me, if I can fix it, that'll be great. Yeah, saves the environment to a certain extent. Okay, that's done. I will need to get some, give me a moment. I'm going to get some cotton buds because that's how I'm going to clean the inner parts. Okay, so got some cotton buds. Just gonna dip it in the thinner. Just kind of clean the shaft a little bit so you can see how dirty that is. Right. Didn't get a chance to clean the shaft yesterday, so doing it now. So and this so and if we can is so clean and don't keep so that quite soon. That use is like so and there's really well. Yeah, it's so I don't need help. This one that do and okay, now so one thing that I realized that I needed to do, and it was just reminded by Dad when I told him that I managed to get it going again, because he kind of helped me on this, was the fact that it was important to also get some lube on this, because essentially it is a moving, you know, I don't want the same issue coming back again, and I want to see if I can extend the life of this activator as best as I can rather than having to buy another one altogether. So assembling takes a bit of work, well, just careful precision work basically. You want to slide this, so you get this piece in there, slide this at the top. I think it's there. Yeah, not here. Yeah, it's here. It's like this. So this part here, you want to make sure that this end of the hole sits in there. Put that in first. Okay, slide that in first. Next part is the tricky bit, is actually putting in the ball bearings. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is you're gonna line that up, put that there. Oops, takes a bit of work. Just line that up, and just put it there. Okay, just kind of hold it in the position for a while. Then it actually has a bit of a spring on the inside of this. All right. So you just want to put this in. Now, careful not to let go because you might just shoot that out. So I just just press it in. That kind of disengages the calipers in there, I guess, and that kind of gets the ball bearings out of the way. Otherwise, you know, you see, it prevents it. That mechanism. Press it in. The ball bearings go in, and you can move this. So yeah, you can see it's a bit of a, you know, so just keep it at this part here. Make sure it's aligned with the kink over there. Then you need this piece to prevent this piece from falling out. Then what happens is you slide this back in, alright, slowly and gently put it in. Okay, Right. May need to kind of do it again, but okay, what I need to do is actually just do this. Oops. And push that in. So the thing is, you got that lined up. Now just be careful with the ball bearings. Actually, before I do that, kind of like don't want to. Okay, I'm gonna lube this thing up. So what am I using for my lube? I'm actually using my bike chain lube. Not sure if it's recommended, but that's what I'm gonna use. Okay, and it works very well for my bike. Should work a little bit, so I'm gonna just put a little bit here. Just put a bit here, just on the moving parts. Gets a bit kind of like grimy, so I'm gonna move things a bit. Yep. I think over time with metallic parts like this is that you will have a buildup of grime, whether you like it or not. So yeah, just making sure that you actually do some servicing. Hope this video helps someone out there. Oops. Okay, so that kind of can fire it out. Just be careful. So I'm just gonna lock it, just kind of leave things like that. Hold the ball bearing in place, and then I'm gonna put it in, slide it in. Right. So once you slide it in, it's got a tight fit. So if you can see, the ball bearings kind of stay in place. Okay. Now that that's done, okay, I'm a lefty, but I'm gonna try and do this with my right hand. You want to put this over here, kind of line things up a little bit right at that corner there. You want to be at this corner. You want to be at this top corner. Why? Because you're gonna put this sleeve back. All right. So the locking ring. Okay. The not sure what you call this, but okay, so that's in. All right, I'm gonna push this in, and this is where it gets a bit tricky. It's this part. Oh, my daughter is actually getting ready to head out with mom. Brother's just gone a bit. Okay, so I'm just chucking that in there. Oops. To make sure that it's all aligned. The reason why this is important to be aligned, you can see, is this part here. Just going to put a bit of this here for a while. And then you want to put this line. Ooh, have I lost the alignment? Okay, let's put a bit. Oops, it's a bit too much. Yikes. But basically what you want to do is just make sure that's all aligned. Right. And then this is the screw that needs to go back in. Okay, got it in. Alright, guess, yep, done. And See? Alright. So one thing to kind of test is actually putting your finger at the top here like this. Just kind of like stopping it and pushing it a little bit like this inside with your thumb. And then you kind of push it. Aha! I can feel the motion, see? So what happened with ours was actually, I think because of the buildup of grime, that kind of got stuck. It just got stuck. And that wouldn't fire the mechanism back and forth. So what I'm gonna do is also just apply a little bit of lube just over here. Oops. Alright, it's not meant to be that much, but I guess a little bit won't harm things. Put the spring back and put that in and screw it back in. I'm just gonna clean everything up here and get tight. So yes. So the thing is that, you know, if you hold this part and you turn, you're just gonna turn this, right? The adjustment. You know, just hold this part till you get a bit of a, see? Ta-da! Like I said, this is really about lengthening the lifespan of your activator. I'm not going to tell you, you know, what it's meant to do. It's a DIY thing, right? So you see, right? Ouch. Oh, see? So the only thing that you need to do now, well, I'll need to do now, is just put this ring back, and I'll do it here, because as you can see it, then that's probably how you're gonna remove it as well, you know, reverse engineer. Yep, let's see. If you can see, like I said, it's like a key ring. That is one that you need to fix if I don't take noise and to that you move. Yeah, what? Just make them there. I think it's just wait. But you kind of wait. This just means, okay. One thing to note, so I was gripping here yesterday to try and remove this part here. What we realized was that this just wasn't working. So what we actually did was we actually crimped here, or vice grip here, and this part, and then that was how we, because this had a better bite, but of course that was down there. So yeah, let me just try and get this going. Yes. See, radio. There. Not the prettiest activator in sight. And there you go. Yep. Drove the lineman back. Right. So here's how to service your Activator IV.